Joburg's flagship mixed housing project is literally falling apart. According to some residents, RDP houses, rental units and bonded homes are collapsing. They say roofs are caving in and cracks are forming on the walls and floors because of poor workmanship. This multi-million rand project, which was launched in 2012, begs the question about what the government is doing to come up with solutions. Reporter Manqoba Mchunu joins me in studio and he's been following that story. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and we'll get to the official commentary in terms of those in authority in a moment. But before we do, tell us about the residents' experience of this housing project. They are living in it, and of course, based on what you've seen and heard, their lives could be in danger with these structures.
Well, certainly, Rupu, and I think that's the worry on many of the residents that, any time those structures could collapse. We're talking here of structures that have built cracks. There are cracks on the walls. There are also, leakages on some of the units. They're telling us that, Rupu, when it rains, one lady was telling us that she even has to use an umbrella because
inside
the house, because the ceiling is leaking, and that just tells you how dire the situation is. And just to give you a bit of background on this, this was a project that was launched by government back in 2012. In fact, in September 2012, I recall, because I'd covered it, the then Housing Minister Tokyo Sekwale had launched it as one of the unique projects. It's a mix, a housing mix, where you have RDP homes, where you have bond homes, and you have rental units, so to speak, so all coexisting under one area. And so it was really launched much fanfare, and many of the people at the time had embraced this. It was supposed to deal with social inequality, to deal with such issues that government at the time had wanted to address. And so there was a lot of excitement about it. But we understand that there have been phases of this project. This one in particular was launched back in 2018. These RDP homes, they were the latest to be built. And we understand that since then there's been problems that have occurred. Residents telling us that there are cracks that have started to form. In fact, we went to one of those, blocks, Ropua, so to speak, where you can literally see cracks on each and every pillar of that particular block, and it just tells you how residents are living. Many of them telling us that they even fear, that one day it will collapse. And this is the 4th floor. And those who are living underneath are complaining of the water and the fact that there are leakages of water that come into their houses, some of them from the houses on top of them, some of them from the rain. So residents saying that, they've been trying to call for help in terms of what's happening, but really these are people that are fearing for their lives as we speak. Some of them saying that they don't even sleep at night, more especially when it rains, because they are worried sick about the conditions of their house. And I spoke to one woman, Charlene, and she told me that, in fact, she is even scared to bath because already her bathtub has shown signs that it could also collapse. But take a listen to what she had to say.
We've got the bathroom that is leaking. When it rains, we have rain coming in from the bath, from the roof every single day. You can't leave your bathroom window closed for the fear that we'll have mold. Then when we go to the sitting room, we've got rain coming in every single time. Heavily. It's like tears coming in, and like if you are not here, you find your house full of water. Yeah, that is my problem.
Okay. Have you tried to raise this issue?
I have driven to Kalkrow on numerous occasions. I've gone there numerous occasions. I've contacted the Department of Housing. I've sent snag lists. I've sent about 3 snag lists, if I'm not mistaken, but nothing has been done.
Okay, so that is the dire state of affairs of just one of many residents. But are they looking for or talking about alternative sources of housing or structures that they can perhaps depend on a little more than the current ones?
Well, Rapua, many of the residents, in fact, in those RDP houses, some of them are military veterans that were allocated that housing. There are also residents that were moved from informal settlements that were on the housing list that are also allocated those houses. So some of them are people that really cannot afford, to fix those homes firstly for themselves. And the big problem that they're having is the fact that when they go to the city, they say the city tells them this is a private developer that is responsible for the building of this, when they go to the private developer, Calgro, they are told that, they need to go to the city. And, many of them are saying that, Rupua, they literally have nowhere to go. They dismantled their shacks. They moved from where they were staying. They were happy when they moved there. They had hope, that, things are going to be okay now that they finally have roof over their heads. And I'm not talking about one block in particular. There are many of those blocks, Rupua. It's just shows the situation or the condition of many of those, blocks and RTP houses that they built there. The bond houses we saw there also have cracks on the walls. And, of course, people are worried about their investments in that particular area. But, the residents saying that they've been trying to raise these issues with the city, and it doesn't seem like anything is going to happen. And, of course, we did try to also reach out to the city just to hear what they have to say. But what one of the residents, interestingly, raised, Rupua, was the issue around poor workmanship. And this is one of the gentlemen who himself happens to be a builder, and he's obviously relies on piece jobs to sustain himself. And he was telling us that just from looking at the development itself, the fact that when it rains, there's water that comes into the houses, and also the cracks that are happening on some of the walls, the paint that is falling off, it does show that there is no waterproofing at all in those complexes, and that there had been poor workmanship as far as that is concerned. But I want you to take a listen to what he had to say about what he thinks is happening there.
Say the plan was not maybe correct to work it out with the ring force and everything, because I know I can also build, but if there's no reinforced wires in, obviously it makes like this. So it's poor workmanship, according to our ideas here. The way we see everywhere, there's crackings, and we see every difference, even by the houses, by the flats themselves. The roofs last time, where the wind was so strong and that rain was so very strong. It also take off some tiles by the roofs. Yeah, they come back. Last time they fixed the tiles and fixed back but by the roof, but they didn't fix these cracks. So we complain, but nothing happens. So we want, soon as possible, they must come and help. And like now, you got ideas. Maybe you can give them also more ideas to help each other here, because we are worried about this. It's very disappointed. But we are happy with the place, because we have a roof under our heads, on top of our heads. So it's only the workmanship. We are not happy with the workmanship. Yeah.
Imagine that. It's devastating. They're happy to have the roof under their head, over their heads, even though that roof is potentially life-threatening to them. So obviously the city had hired a developer to build these homes for these people, and oversight should have taken place here. Obviously that looks like it didn't happen. What have your engagements with the city been?
Well, Rupo, we've reached out to the city just to try and find out what it is that they're doing. And of course, because these are RTP homes that were allocated by the city. So our first call was to the city just to try and ascertain what it is that they're doing. And they told us, Rupo, that in fact, they will be investigating this issue. But residents are telling us that it's been long that they've been trying to get their attention, telling them about this, but they say that they are going to look into it. But we do understand, of course, that it's not only the city. Remember, when a building is, made or built, there are other bodies that have to be engaged in as far as assessment of safety is concerned, which include the NHBR. Is it NHBR? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they have to get involved in the checks, the safety checks, just to ascertain the safety issues. We, of course, try to reach out to them as well, just to check how did that process go and how these houses were allowed for people to stay in without those checks and balances having been done. We are not able to reach them today. We've also tried the executive director of housing in the city of Joburg. We're also not able to reach him. But when speaking to one of the officials there, they said that they are going to look into the issue. But as far as, the safety issues and what's going to be done from now, that I guess we'll have to wait and hear what the city will have to say.
Wait and see situation in South Africa. It's the standard. Manqoba Mchunu, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.